There is a page, one single, torn, water-rotted page, left inside the archives of St. Landry Parish. No name, no year, just 5 words scrawled in brown ink. Before entering, they knelt first. What followed was crossed out with something that looks too dark to be ink. For nearly 2 centuries, this unnamed plantation, known only through whispers as the Baron's house, has remained absent from maps, census logs, and state records, almost as if someone desperately wanted to bury it. And maybe, just maybe, they succeeded. But this story doesn't begin with its construction. It begins with its disappearance. In 1871, a federal survey team arrived where locals claimed the house once stood, only to find nothing but foundations, burnt soil, and a silence the survivors refused to explain. Today, we return to the story no one passed down, but everyone feared. The tale of the rituals, the commands, the kneeling, and the Baron, whose real identity may have never been human. He called himself Baron Emil Volker, though no ship manifest matches that name, and no noble registry in Europe ever recorded him. He first appeared in Louisiana around 1819 with unimaginable money and silence for a past. Witnesses described a tall man with alabaster skin and eyes that never reflected firelight. People swore he spoke flawless French, German, English, and Latin, sometimes switching languages mid-sentence as if forgetting who he was speaking to, or who he was pretending to be. He purchased 412 acres of swampland, land the indigenous tribes refused to approach. Hunters said the ground there felt alive, soft even when dry, as if breathing. Volker built a 3-story mansion with iron gates taller than any man. Not one worker recalled the construction. Not one supplier remembered delivering the mahogany or marble, as if he didn't build it, as if it simply appeared once the land accepted him. The Baron didn't hire staff from the local market. He sent private buyers farther, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia, acquiring people others wouldn't notice missing. And that was the first rumor. He never bought workers, only secrets. Every slave on Volker's land learned one rule before anything else. No one walks through the Baron's door standing. New arrivals were pulled from wagons at dawn and forced to the iron gate. The earth around the arch was always wet, even in drought. Their feet sunk as if the mud swallowed not just weight, but names. At the gate sat a black stone bowl. The survivors later called it the Baron's mouth. One by one, they were ordered to kneel, scoop the soil-water mixture with their bare hands, and smear it across their forehead and tongue. The taste was described as metallic. Not dirt, not blood, something else. The overseers claimed this ritual made the Baron recognize them. Anyone who refused vanished that night. No screams, no struggle, only an indent in their empty bed and muddy footprints leading nowhere. And soon, the others stopped asking why. Though no woman was ever seen with Baron Volker, children lived in the mansion, 6 of them, pale as winter sun, hair strikingly black. They spoke rarely and stared always. Locals called them the Baron's Echoes. The Echoes attended no church, no school, and walked barefoot, even on frost. Their eyes were wrong. Not gray, not blue, but colorless, pupils lost in a sea of white that reflected lantern flames like polished bone. Sometimes they stood outside the slave quarters at night, watching, not breathing, as if memorizing their faces. One echo returned to the riverbank, crying silently. The others simply waited. The next day, a worker disappeared, and the echoes were 6 again. There were stories, whispers from trembling lips, that the house itself reacted. Footsteps behind closed doors, floorboards that groaned before someone walked, windows that opened when names were spoken. One woman swore she heard her dead mother singing from the empty attic. Another claimed the walls pulsed when the Baron grew angry, like a heartbeat in wood and stone. The Baron told them, "This house remembers sound." They learned quickly. No gossip, no crying, no praying aloud. Those caught speaking after sunset returned changed, vacant-eyed, smiling too wide, repeating phrases the Baron never taught, but the house wanted heard. Jonah, a strong-willed blacksmith, refused the gate ritual. The overseers dragged him through the mud and pinned him to the iron. Instead of kneeling, Jonah spat into the bowl. That night lightning struck the house, but no storm followed. The flash illuminated the plantation and revealed every slave standing outside their quarters, asleep but upright, eyes open. Jonah stood among them, silent, his mouth filled with that same black mud. Frozen, breathing shallow. By morning, he was gone. The Baron only said, "The land takes what disrespects it." No one ever spit again. Her name was Eliza. 15. Quiet, unassuming, until she saw something through the keyhole of the Baron's private chapel. Inside, the Baron and the Echo children stood in a circle around that same black bowl. The Baron spoke a language that scraped the ears, harsh consonants like bone-grinding stone. The children repeated every word. Eliza watched as the bowl filled, not from above, but as if from below. Black liquid rising without ripple, without source. Then, simultaneously, the Echo children turned their heads directly toward the keyhole. Eliza screamed, and the house swallowed it whole. Months later, winters arrived that never froze, summers that never dried. The plantation's crops thrived unnaturally, but the slaves were deteriorating. Some woke with mud on their pillowcases, others with bruises shaped like fingerprints, many with the taste of rust on their tongue. Doors began locking themselves, workers trapped inside for hours or days. The house decided who left, not the Baron. One woman went mad, carving the word "listen" into the wood until her nails split and bled. They removed her to an outside shed. The next morning the shed door was open, and she was seated at the silent supper table, without eyes. A river ran along the edge of the property. Calm, clear, reflective as glass. Too reflective. Slaves refused to fetch water alone. They said something washed from beneath the surface, a shape that wasn't their reflection. Sometimes the river whispered back their own names. Sometimes not. Sometimes it whispered names of the dead. And on nights when fog rolled in from the water, the Echo children walked to the riverbank in single file and dipped their feet in. When they lifted them, no moisture remained. Dry, untouched, as if the river had consumed only the moment, not the flesh. Rumors spread that the Baron held records, contracts, signed not in ink, but in blood mixed with that same soil-water mixture. The slaves were not the first. Sharecroppers, gamblers, runaway criminals, anyone desperate enough to kneel before the Baron's gate became tethered to land they didn't understand. Some believed the Baron was offering freedom from death. Others thought he offered something far worse, a life that couldn't end. The whispered question wasn't, who was the Baron? But rather, what was he before us? They spoke for the first and only time. A thunderless afternoon, sky bruised purple-green. The echoes gathered on the porch and chanted a single phrase. The land is hungry. Not once, not twice, but until voices cracked and blood lined their throats. The Baron stepped onto the porch behind them, placed a hand on each of their heads, and smiled that expressionless smile. The plantation dogs fled. Birds abandoned trees. Even the swamp went soundless. And the house exhaled, windows rattling inward. It began with the cotton bursting into flames, silent, smokeless fire that produced no heat. Workers rushed to smother it, but their hands passed through flame like mist. The crops turned black. The ground quaked. Mud seeped where earth should have been solid. The Baron stood calmly at the porch rail, unmoving, unworried. The land wasn't destroying itself. It was clearing space. What for, no one knew. But everyone feared. Slaves were ordered to dig massive trenches. Not for crops. Not for irrigation. For shape. A pattern. A sigil carved into the land itself. Viewed from above, if anyone had the technology, it would form a spiraled eye with a gate at the pupil. The Baron said only, "We are returning what was promised." The overseers didn't need whips anymore. Fear drove the shovels deeper. Weeks after Eliza's disappearance, she returned. Or something wearing her skin did. Her walk was wrong, smooth, gliding, as if her feet never touched mud. Her eyes were black. Not dark. Black. Depthless. And she whispered as she passed, "I saw where sound goes." She never blinked. Never slept. And at meals, the food cooled untouched beside her. Yet her plate always emptied. No one saw her eat. In 1864, Union soldiers approached the plantation, drawn by reports of unregistered land and abandoned farms. When they knocked, the house answered with a groan that made rifles tremble. The Baron greeted them tall, crisp, flawless in suit and posture. A soldier opened the gate without kneeling. His face drained of color. He collapsed. Not dead. Not alive. A statue of flesh, breathing, but unresponsive. The captain ordered a retreat. The Baron did not stop them. He didn't need to. Anyone who left spread the same fevered tale. The house hears. The land listens. The Baron waits. The echo children grew, but not naturally. Their bodies stretched vertically, bones sharpening, shoulders narrowing. Their eyes turned fully white, iris gone, pupil erased. They spoke in two overlapping voices, one child, one ancient. They no longer followed the Baron. They walked beside him, not subordinates, successors. Some whispered that the Baron wasn't raising children. He was restoring what once ruled the land before people named it. One night, the Baron rang the chapel bell, a bell no one ever heard hung. Every slave, every overseer, every echo child walked toward the house. And they knelt, without command, without resistance. The land trembled. The river churned black. The house pulsed with light from cracks in the wood, white, blinding, unnatural. The Baron raised the black bowl and spoke the same guttural language. The ground split, and screams erupted, not human, rising from deep earth as if the land itself were birthing memory. At dawn, survey riders passed the outward road. No smoke, no crops, no people, just foundations. The mansion was gone, not collapsed, not burned, gone. Only the iron gate remained. The bowl, unbroken, centered on stone, still full, as if waiting for more kneeling. Today, those grounds remain untouched. Locals warn hikers with 3 rules. Don't speak near the river. Don't listen near the wind. And never, never kneel at the gate. Some say the Baron was a man. Others say he was the land itself, wearing skin until his hunger was restored. But the torn archive page remains. Before entering, they knelt first. Below it, newer ink, shakier hand. And they never stood again.